So if you're asking me what I'm involved in a visionary project that has the goal, the measurable goal, that no human being on earth should kill another human being. A zero. It's a measurable goal. We can count the bodies, how many murders, how many people are killed from homicide through crime, through terrorism, or whatever, or counterterrorism, or war. This is a measurable project. Some other things are hard to measure. It's hard to measure peace, or democracy, or justice, or goodness, or virtue, many of those other things. But the killing is quite measurable. So we see if we can work to remove the causes and the acceptance of killing, this will assist solving the other problems of disarmament, of the rich-poor gap and injustices, of the violations of human rights, of the destruction of the environment, and of the inability to cooperate among groups, nations, cultures, and so forth, locally within our communities and globally. So we think that the human readiness in the mind and in physically to be ready to kill, to be prepared to kill, to arm to kill, to use our resources preparing for this, from self-defense up to war and all the way to nuclear weapons and armies and vast expenditure of resources, which this year is about $1.5 trillion. Global militarization, $1.5 trillion. Trillion is 1,000 billion, I think. It's unbelievable. And over half of that, of course, is American military expenditures. So anyway, the general idea here, to try to simplify it, it's a simple goal to reduce the killing of humans by humans, and the means are just open to infinite creativity, of which the arts are absolutely essential. So we must have spiritual creativity, scientific creativity, creativity of human skills and vocations and ability, and creativity in all the arts, the theater, the song, the poets, and the visual arts, and every kind of expression of the human talent and creativity. And so one day, I had experienced a rather unexpected experience. I was just standing up, and from my toes right up through the body, right up to the leg, a kind of electrical force went whoosh, right up like this. And 3 words came to me, silent words: no more killing. I didn't expect that. It just came. And then here becomes a problem. No more killing. Here I am. I'm a soldier. I wrote a book about the war. I'm a professor of political science. And I give a scientific description and a moral justification of a war. So I'm well known for that. They teach that book in military academies, and all the PhD programs they're studying how Americans make decisions. No more killing. What am I going to do now? So the first thing I did was write a critical book review of my own book. And it's a short review which I wrote. It was the first time an author had ever been allowed to review their own book in an American academic institution. So I began to do this kind of discovery. And I was teaching a course called Nonviolent Political Alternatives in a political science department. And very few students interested, and most of the other faculty, they don't care about nonviolence. There's not even a peace course. So I'm kind of alone doing this without a lot of cheering and so forth. But I thought this is the obligation of a scholar in a so-called free society, a scholar who's given the luxury of people are working, they're laboring, they're paying their taxes, they're enabling an intellectual, a scholar like me, to devote their life to inquiry, to learning. And I felt an obligation. We all should, who have the luxury of being a professor in any university, being supported by the people. We should use our talent we should discover. We shouldn't leave the world of knowledge the way it was. So anyway, I was just going on sort of with this this kind of idealistic way of doing it, and so I just kept doing it. And then I published the book in 2002. Later on, I'll jump ahead. And the book was published, but I also posted it on a website, free, so you don't have to buy it. And that was our previous organization called Center for Global Nonviolence. And now it's Center for Global Non-Killing, beginning this year, 2009. So then it suddenly began to be translated. It was quite surprising to me. People were volunteering. Once they discovered the book on the website, free, and heard about it, they began to publish it and translate it. So it was translated into Russian, and the foreword was written by Professor Vladimir Smirnov of the Russian Academy of Sciences. And here's what he says in the Russian. The basic ideas in this unique book can and should be accepted as a basis of common values for humanity in the 21st century, as well as a program for their realization. Now that was amazing when I read this. I couldn't believe this. The basic ideas in this unique book. It's unique because the first book in English language with the word non-killing in it. It's the first book in English language that ends up with, is it possible to stop killing each other? The last word in the book says yes. So it's unique. Well, the basic ideas it's possible, and should be accepted as a basis of common values. That's a common value. Just one value. We won't kill each other. We won't threaten to kill each other. Maybe we can accept that. Now we can have many other values of faith or religion or whatever. You know, the other things, we're so diverse, humanity. We can be so diverse. We don't have to all be one type of civilization and so on. But can we have one thing, even one thing we can agree on? Not complicated. Not complicated. Just we agree not to kill it. That's what he's saying. But then what he goes on to say, this should be the common values of humanity in the 21st century. And then the last sentence really shocked me. As well as a program for their realization. That is, it's not just preaching a value like that, but he saw in the book, which you'd have to read to understand it. I guess the most radical idea is that the impossible is possible to become possible. I think that's the most radical. And I learned this, I was in Hiroshima at the Institute of Peace Science in the University of Hiroshima in 1980, 19 years ago. I asked the question, is a non-violent society possible? I was using non-violence at that time. And one professor said, it's not possible, but it's possible to become possible. I like that. It was very much. Anyway, I guess that's it. Okay. No, you got a lot of stuff there.